Good morning, Sean. Happy Friday.
Good morning.
We are back. And as I mentioned last time, we talked about the positives of the cloud, of what the cloud is and why it's so popular. But today I'd like you to give us a little bit of information about some of the cons or some of the things that aren't so great about the cloud.
So I'm a big fan of the cloud when it is appropriate to use for a client. But there are a lot of possible pitfalls out there. And some of those can be price, some of those can be performance, some of those can be security. A lot of it revolves around price and security. If a cloud platform is not set up properly and securely, and Microsoft and Amazon Web Services, Google will all tell you that when a breach happens, it's because the engineer who set up the cloud platform usually did not secure it properly and did not secure it to best practices, because it isn't a very complicated thing to set up overall. And if you don't do it just right, you leave things vulnerable. Now, that being said, that's not the only possible pitfall that's out there. Cost can be a very significant factor as well. And so, as we're discussing with businesses, cloud versus on-premise, cost is one of the big conversations that we have. You have to see if it's worth the cost, because years ago, everybody was trying to sell the cloud as cheaper and better than being on-premise. But if you start looking at the numbers, it's not cheaper than going on-premise most of the time. We had a client that was looking at using their line of business application software company for their software in their cloud. And the software platform wanted to charge them $90,000 a year for something that they're paying and using on-premise for an average about $30,000 per year. Wasn't going to be any more secure, but it was going to be a whole lot more expensive. And based off of what they were telling us, it was not going to be any more reliable than what they already had. What was a better option for them was to purchase another server and to offload some of the processing onto a separate server. It was far less costly, and they're very happy with the end result. So when we're looking at cloud, security and costs are two of the very big factors that we have to take into consideration. If you're willing to take the cost, then it's a matter of making sure that it's set up securely so that you don't end up being more vulnerable because you're on a publicly accessible platform.
Right. Because I've heard a lot of people say, use the cloud, it's a little cheaper. Unless it's not secure and things aren't what they should be. So, all right. Thank you.